Okay, so we're gonna test the gate out real quick. Although I've already tested it quite a few times, I just want to make sure the gate's going up. It ain't going down. I already did it like 4 times. It went up, went down, no problem. I'm just gonna show you one time how it works, how it looks. Already started up, so let's start it. Oh, and there you go. Gate stopped. Well, now we gotta take it apart. All right, so we're back at the basketball here. We're gonna go ahead and check the gate. Remember, the gate would work for a little while and then it would stop working. Because I've done this modification with the sides here, it does make it hard to remove the housing here because of the new hardware that I installed to secure the housing cover better than it was from factory, but it does make it hard to remove it. So to remove it, I just kind of put some tape on back on my little nuts right here, my little T-nuts. Put some tape on them so that way it kind of holds them, so that way when I'm in the inside of the game removing the Allen bolt or Allen screw, this will stay in place. And if it doesn't, it's okay. You can have someone come here and just kind of press it and hold it, or just retape it back down or something like that. Duct tape works better than painter's tape, but I ran out of duct tape. So let's go ahead and start unscrewing the top and pulling it open and see what we could find. All right, so we got the gate open. I just removed them. Super simple. The tape held everything real nice, and I was able to remove these without loosening up the tape. So yeah, just remove them. I usually like to keep the corners still attached. That way I can just kind of tilt it up. But be careful because you can scratch it. I did end up scratching the inside of the game a little bit, a few spots, probably because I did not file down my holes like I should have. And now I have little metal burrs on the back side of the frame here. That's how I got these little tiny scratches. That's okay. It's okay. I can clean that up, and you won't even really tell that they're there. Anyway, so we're gonna look at the gate. As you can see, the gate is very, very dirty, especially in there. We got a lot of basketball dust all over our micro switches. It's possible that the micro switches are giving a false signal to the gate, and the gate thinks that it's open all the way or whatever, or it's closed or something. Over time it will work. It will fail. Right now the game has been played for quite some time, so the gate seems to work fine. I'll turn it off and I'll lift the gate. I'll just do it for you real quick. So we'll turn it off. I'll move the gate like this, past the lobes. I'll go past the lobes. See, here's the lobe right there. I'll go past that, those little lobes, right, those little red tabs on the micro switches. So that way when I turn on the game, I can see it move all the way around. Now it is possible that either this micro switch or that micro switch has gotten so much basketball dust that it stops working after a while. So we're gonna go ahead and just go and replace these micro switches with new ones. Super easy to do. We'll just get some stuff in there and see if that helps. Unfortunately, I won't know if that's the actual fix until I fix it. So we're gonna start off with just replacing the micro switches. Super simple. We're gonna cut these old wires off, use some connector spades, and then just kind of shove them back on, and hopefully that would be it. We can test it numerous times to get it to fail. It took me about, 10 tries last time to get it to fail, or maybe less, I don't know. But we'll try to make it fail. So let's go ahead and remove this housing and do some testing. All right, so I have been doing some testing. So what I did is, like I said, I removed this bottom housing. I'll take it and I'll kind of spin it past the lobe and watch it go around. You can't really hear it because it's kind of loud in this arcade. I can hear it because I'm super close to it. I can also feel it when I kind of hold on to the actual housing here. Motor's here, the gears are here. Motor will turn the gears and everything will start working. But so when I do that and get it going, I can feel right there a crunch. So there is definitely either a few broken teeth inside the motor housing here, or the gear housing, or something is in there. I'm not sure. These aren't repairable. You can't open them up and fix it, unfortunately. I would rather try to fix it than replace it. But hey, you know, you got to do what you got to do. So, like I said, I'll do that. I can hold on to it like this, and right there, I can feel that weird crunch. Actually, I felt it a couple times. I thought it would be just more of a micro switch thing, but it's not. Micro switches are fine. They're dirty, but they're fine. It's got to be in the housing, because I can definitely feel a weird, kind of like almost like a hitting, kind of grinding type feeling almost. You'll know what I mean when you feel one. But we're gonna go ahead and just replace the whole entire motor housing. So let's go get our new one, install it, and then get the game back together so people can play it. All right, so here's the new motor. So you can see how nice and clean it is compared to the other one. This is what I mean. You can't remove these bad boys. There's absolutely no screws to open up this housing right here. The screws that you see right there just hold that bracket on for the micro switches. That's all that does. You know, this is a sealed unit, so once it goes bad, you just gotta throw it away. Is it possible just to replace the motor? Maybe. But it doesn't really look like it gives you an option to unscrew it. So if you can figure that out, you let me know. So that way I can do the same. Otherwise, I feel like I have a bunch of good motors and a bunch of bad gears. You know, so, well, anyways, let's go ahead and remove this and replace it. So I just turned off the game so that way it just makes it easier. I like to try and get this sideways so I can access the set screws. As soon as I undo those, this thing's gonna fall down and it's gonna be loose enough for me to remove it. We gotta remove these screws right here. I noticed that I'm missing one over there, but when we remove these, once you remove this block, this will fall down, and since you have this loosened, you can just kind of get out and kind of lean it either way and just kind of slide it right out and it'll come right off. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so we have the new motor in. Everything's back together. I will find another nut to put over there so that way that's not like that. So the trick is, if you notice that this little cam here has a flat side, this little flat side right here. This little flat side, you want that pointing upwards, right? Because when you put this back together, the set screws will hit the flat side and everything should stay good. So make sure that the flat side is sticking up. I make sure already to do that. And before you even crank it down and tighten everything up, I would make sure that the lobes are being hit. See how it does that? This is brand new, came from factory. And when I installed it, I did that to check it, and I noticed that this side over here was not actually activating. So I had to loosen these little tiny nuts right here, these little nuts right there. Just loosen a little bit and adjust the micro switch inwards, and then retighten everything back down. Don't tighten it so much because it is plastic. You don't want to crush the whole housing there. And now it does hit the lobe quite nicely. It clicks in and clicks out. I was not hearing that before. So always make sure that it's working, because it would really have to suck if you have to take this all back apart because the micro switch isn't working. I would be very angry at myself for that. So always make sure that everything is good to go before you close everything up, because once I close it up, I do not want to reopen it. So let's go ahead and zip everything down, screw everything down, and go run the wires across, remove the old one, close the game up, and then test it. So let's continue on. All right, so everything's back together, everything's nice and tight. I replaced that one nut that was missing. Set screws are tight, everything's back together. I have the housing back on. The screws went in quite nicely. Tape held up real nice. I went kind of slow and just kind of screwed them in lightly, and all in first, and then once I got them all in, I tightened them all down, and then that was it. So it wasn't that bad removing it. Better than I thought. Anyways, so I've got this part right here. The original plastic housing has torn parts, so I just kind of added these little, hold downs to hold the wire down. So all that's left to do is just kind of connect these two wires. Let's remove the old one, connect these two. Unfortunately, I can't stick my fat fingers or fat hands into this little gap right here. So I'm just gonna open the front, unplug them, plug the new ones in, and then test the game, make sure everything works good. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, and real quick before I jump out of this game, when you take this off, make sure you put the spacers back in. There's a spacer on this side, spacer on that side. There are no spacers on this side. So make sure you put your spacers back on. That way everything will fit nicely. So, like I said, can't stress enough. Remember to put the spacers back on. If they're missing, find some and place them back in there. The game will work better. Alright, so I've tested the game a couple times, and of course, there's always got to be some kind of blooper. So, I'll show you right now. Like I said, I made sure that the micro switches are working correctly, but apparently one of them is still not working correctly. You can see the gates opening and closing and opening. It'll do that a couple times until it stops. Now, why does it do that? It's because one of the micro switches that came with the actual motor is probably bad or not hitting correctly. You know, even though I checked it to make sure that the lobe is actually hitting the little red micro switch, you know, button. It seemed like it was going to work, you know, but through my fault, I closed everything up, and now I got to reopen it back up to fix that micro switch or check that micro switch. But I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and remove the bottom housing where the motor is, and then try to fix it like that without having to remove the whole entire thing, because I don't want to do all that again. Once is enough, you know. I should have done it. I should have made sure before I closed it all up. So, you know, always make sure before you close things up. This is my fault. Now I got to deal with it. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that. And then I tried to do some adjustments to see if I can get those micro switches, or that one micro switch, to do what it's supposed to do. All right, so let's get back in there. All right, so I'm inside the game. Like I said, I'm not going to remove this housing, not the top housing. So I just removed the bottom little housing cover that covers the motor. And like I said before, I had to adjust this one over here because I noticed that the lobe wasn't hitting it. I thought I seen it hitting this one, but I guess it wasn't. So I loosened these two little nuts up right here again. See if I can get a better picture. Loosen these two nuts up right here. Adjusted it inward so that way that when the lobe comes around, it actually hits it. And then now it stops. So as you can see, now I have a hard time getting it to come out because that stops now. Now it's actually hitting the lobe. So everything's good to go. Now I can put this back together and the game is good. So like I said before you put everything back together and tighten everything up, make sure that it works. You don't have to do all this because that was a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it wasn't that bad. So let's put that back on, test the game, and then everything should be hunky-dory. All right, here comes the big test. Gate comes down and stops. That's the way it's supposed to work. It'll go up once, stop. It'll go down once, stop. If you notice that it is going up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, it's probably because one of the micro switches has gone bad. Best way to tell which one it is that's going bad is start the game, and when the game starts, the gate should open up and the ball should, you know, fall right out. But if the gate starts opening up and then closing when you press start, it means that the micro switch on the right side, so let's just say on this side of the gate, is the one that's bad, because as it goes up, it should stop and not go back down. So it's going up and it's coming back down. That means the micro switch on this side is bad. So you either need to adjust it or replace it. The problem was that on the down, as it's going down, you see how it's flat like that. The micro switch on the back side was the one that was faulty, so that's why it kept, you know, doing that whole thing. So it didn't want to close at the end of the game. So it's adjusted and everything's back together. The game worked fine, no problems. Game's good to go. Let's throw some basketballs in it. Well, let's clean it up a little bit, throw some basketballs in it, and let her go. Game is done. That's it. Thanks for watching. All my mistakes and everything.